Welcome back to the C Word. My name is Joe Escobedo, and with me once again is Daniel Hakuli.
Hello.
LinkedIn's content marketing evangelist. And today we're going to be talking about content measurement. So how do you go about measuring the effectiveness of your content marketing? Now, Daniel, a big question a lot of marketers have is, how do I go about first defining my content marketing success? Are there any specific metrics I should be looking at?
Yeah, so ROI is the one that everyone wants to talk about.
I was going to say, what's the ROI of this exactly?
So I can talk at length about this. The very first thing you need to have is you need to have a goal, and it can be a marketing goal or a business goal. And the difference between the two is the marketing goal is really things like share of voice, topic ownership, brand awareness. So softer objectives where you will spend money, but you won't necessarily get an immediate ROI off the bat, or it's very hard to quantify the ROI. The business goal is where you should be expecting things like marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads, conversions, where you can tie dollar value to them. Now, not every marketing initiative should have a business goal attached to it, which means that not everything you do in marketing should have an ROI, right? A quantifiable, measurable ROI. There's a lot of messiness in marketing, and it is a combination of art and science. And so the art part at the top there, you can look to measure things like brand awareness, but if you want to know how your brand awareness is really going to convert into an ROI on a sales front, it's not always how it works. The way I like to say this too is there's two types of intent that sit on the web. People come to look at things on social media or on search that have informational intent, and they consume content with transactional intent. So looking at that, informational intent tends to be higher funnel. And so what you're looking at there is people are reading blog posts because they want to be a better professional, or they want information on how to do something. Or they just want to stay up to date with the latest industry trends or the news. There's no conversion or transactional action that should be required from that. So if you're measuring all your content based on how many transactional intent conversions you get, you're actually looking at it from the wrong perspective. You can't force someone to change their intent, right? So they might actually have this informational intent where they download a white paper. Just because they downloaded the white paper does not mean that they are a lead.
Yes.
Okay? Because often the product that they want is the white paper, right? The content in the white paper. That's the product, right? That's why they downloaded it. If I wanted your products, why would I be so coy and play hard to get by downloading a series of white papers to lead you on a trail so you can finally give me a call? If I want your product, I'm going to your product page and I'm inquiring about your product there.
Yeah.
That's how I convert. So the idea of thinking that these people are leads and that they want a call from your salesperson immediately is not correct. And it's a misaligned metric for measurement for success for your content. Because if you go in there and you go, oh, we had 100 downloads of this white paper and we got no leads off the back of this, so therefore content marketing doesn't work. It's like, no, the metric you put for success is incorrect. What happens is when someone downloads a white paper, that builds trust. That builds brand affinity, that builds awareness. That person might use that to take that to a decision maker who might influence them to buy a product. And guess whose brand is on their top 3 consideration set with that? Yours, because you gave them valuable content and actually provided that. And so you need to look at that in a way that is realistic outcomes for the type of content you create. So higher funnel like that, the idea is to generate a level of subscriber base, right? Subscribers are people who are there to be nurtured and who will grow this brand affinity and brand awareness around you. You want to build a community for you there. And you measure that through things like share of voice. I want to increase my share of voice from 20% to 35% by the next 12 months. If you see that increase, you will see a level of quality of transactions lower in the funnel organically. All right? It's not asking for the business. Those people will come naturally because you're putting in the groundwork to convince them. You can't force someone to have transactional intent. And so what happens is that transactional intent will happen when it's ready for them. And so the idea here is they might be consuming 3, 4, 5 pieces of content of yours, and then the time suddenly becomes right for them. So the price might be correct, or it might be the right season for them to make a conversion, or the decision maker suddenly comes in with budget that they can really make that decision purchase. Those things are factors your marketing can't control. But when they are ready to happen, you've already laid the groundwork and nurtured them with the content you've created to be warm enough for them to think about you as a potential partner in the business of the conversion. So that way you just need to have transactional-based content that's designed to make the flow of the transaction easier, right? So the idea of having a quick lead gen form, having an idea of content that really shows exactly how great your product is compared to your competitors, really strong case studies, really strong testimonials. This type of transactional based content is designed to quickly go, yes, this is the right solution for me, I will convert straight away. So you need to be there for when that intent changes. But if you think that your one blog post is going to convince someone to buy your BMW, I think you're kidding yourself. And so that the problem is that you need to think about how content really plays in how the audience uses it. So in a nutshell, it's not an easy solution, right? There is ROI there, it is hard to measure, but I think not everything needs to be measured with the ROI metric on the back of that. I think what we do at LinkedIn is we have a split that we talk about, which is the 60-40 split. So the idea here is create 60% of your content that's designed to convince, that's designed for informational intent, that's designed to grow brand awareness. And then create 40% of your content that is designed for the transactional intent. Your last click, the action, the customer action, the lead generation, the demand generation that you need. 40% of your content should go towards that. And if you're doing that and you're running 2 campaigns congruently like that, you're going to hit every good audience that you need, and you're going to be doing both convincing and converting, and that's very helpful.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of the 60-40 split. I think as marketers, we understand very clearly the 60%, the top of the funnel awareness consideration. I think for a lot of C-suite and senior executives, they get very focused on the bottom of the funnel.
Yes.
So what's my sales, what's my leads?
Yep.
What you're saying is, I guess the 40% should ideally influence or impact the bottom of the funnel?
Yes, totally. So I would never go to a brand and say, don't talk about yourself, or don't go for lead gen, right? Demand gen is incredibly important. It's the only way that most marketers actually show value and response. And the only way you're going to get budget is if you're actually bringing in budget or bringing in revenue.
Yes.
So it is still the most important way to actually create content or use content, but it's short-term thinking. And we need to stop thinking short-term, right? We need to start thinking about how we can deliver quality of leads rather than just number of leads. And even using measurements such as measuring traffic or measuring likes or followers, this stuff is not helpful at all in measuring ROI. So if you're comparing the amount of traffic that you're getting from Facebook compared to the amount of traffic you're getting from LinkedIn, if you stop there and you just look at those basic numbers in your Google Analytics, you are going to be making the wrong call, right? You might get more traffic from Facebook. But if you haven't set up goals and you can't look at it all the way through the journey until that person actually converts, you'll actually realize that maybe the best, most quality audience was actually sitting on LinkedIn. You may not get more traffic numbers in, but you're getting better quality with higher MQLs, SQLs, and conversions off the back of that. Therefore, a higher ROI from that channel. And we see that regularly, right?
Yeah.
We see that regularly where clients just don't even set up their goals in Google Analytics. They just measure their performance by traffic. And that is what's really convincing them on where to go. And they're making the wrong decisions quite often because the best part or the most important part of that conversion funnel is invisible to them because they haven't laid the groundwork in setting up their metrics.
I think you're absolutely right. I think goals are fundamental to really assessing the effectiveness of your content marketing.
Yep.
We talked a lot in terms of using Google Analytics, setting up goals, make sure the tracking is in place. Are there any other tools that you'd recommend outside of Google Analytics to really get an understanding of how effective content marketing is doing?
Yeah, so one of the problems with Google Analytics, and it's not really a problem because it serves Google really well, is that it's automatically designed for last click. And so you think about your own buying behavior. When you're looking to buy something, you don't tend to go to Facebook to buy. You don't go to YouTube to buy. Instead, you go to Google to buy, right? And you actually go and look for that. Or you go to Amazon, right? The Amazon app. And those two search engines, the Amazon and the Google apps, that is where last click works really, really well. It's where AdWords works really, really well. So Google Analytics was based around showing the effectiveness of Google's products in terms of its conversion. Okay. And so last click obviously is where Google is the strongest and is where you invest a lot in search and AdWords. But it is not great in sort of showing you anything else unless you play around with it. And vanilla Google Analytics always needs to be effective and give you the best results. It needs to be customized. You can't do that if you don't customize them. So that means setting up your own goals, setting up your own audience segments, setting up a lot of different things that it can actually help you get more visibility behind that. You asked a question about other platforms to use. So Adobe has its own, so Adobe Analytics is just as good.
Okay.
It used to be called Omniture, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at that as an alternative. It's a paid version. And then moving forward, you need to do some lead scoring. And with the lead scoring, that has to actually come from something that can measure attribution, such as Visible or Marketo has different ones. I think Salesforce also has a way that you can sort of measure leads and scoring those leads in terms of proving a stronger ROI. And I would always encourage you to think about lead scoring within the performance.
No, I think for B2B, that brands it's essential is the lead scoring. Like you were saying earlier, in terms of, you could get a lot of leads, but what's the quality of the leads? And I think only when you do that lead scoring exercise can you say, okay, this is, the quality of leads we're getting is really good.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to be focusing in order to optimize.
Totally. There was an article I read today which talked about Dan Murphy's, which is a liquor company. And they actually decided to shrink their customers' audience database that they were targeting, and then doubling it down on really growing the niche of that audience out. And what actually happened there was they actually saw an increase of 25% in terms of revenue.